Eliot, Clough, David Eickholt here on a Wednesday afternoon with your regularly scheduled Swarmcast here to preview the Iowa versus Minnesota game this weekend. David, we're fresh off media availability. I guess, do you feel like we, really learned much? I mean, like the thing that sticks out to me from yesterday, the thing that sticks out to me from yesterday is that Mark said he's hoping to be back at 100% for Iowa versus Oregon. Granted, that's down the road. It's after a bye week, so we don't necessarily have to talk a ton about that today. But that'd probably be the number one thing that stood out to me from yesterday's media availability. I don't know if you have anything on that front.
Yeah, I think so. And I was kind of happy he was a little bit more forthright in admitting that he hasn't been 100%, because what's he been doing, right? He's like, hey, I'm getting close. I'm fighting the training room. And you and I kind of had our eyebrows raised when we said, well, if he's in the training room for 6 hours a day, like what percentage, how healthy is he, right? So obviously it's massive news. If that's the case, obviously it's no guarantee, but he said that's what he'd like the case to be. But he strikes me as a guy who's playing with a lot of confidence right now. I think the offensive line's kind of in that same boat. And I do think Iowa is not going to overlook Minnesota. Not that they ever would. I think that's one of the good things about a Kirk Ferentz coach team is they really don't overlook anybody. But this might play into Iowa's favor, as weird as this sounds, Eliot, the fact that Minnesota thrashed Nebraska. And it wasn't even the fact that they beat them 24-6. It's how physically dominant they were in that football game. Nebraska just had a tough time moving the ball, couldn't get anything going. And we look at Iowa's strengths this year, right? It's been what? Mobile quarterback, and it's been in the trenches. But I happen to agree with you. I mean, if Iowa gets them back at 100%, especially for Oregon, they got to throw everything at Oregon. Of course, we don't want to continue to play the what-if game, but like Eliot, mathematically, like if Iowa wins Saturday, that's going to set up for a massive home game in Kinnick Stadium. Because I don't hate to say it, but we got to call it what it is. That's playoff implications. Because if Iowa ends up beating Oregon, we're talking about, okay, is Iowa going to be a dark horse for the playoff? And the other part is, if Iowa beats Minnesota, Eliot, are they going to be ranked? They're certainly giving the conversation, I think.
They're receiving votes. They were receiving votes this week, right? No?
They didn't get one vote this week.
Wow.
I know. I was a little bit surprised too, but it made sense. But I'm like, I thought they'd get 6, like 5 or 6 at least.
Right. If they beat Minnesota, you got to think that they're in that conversation.
Yes.
One thing that you mentioned when we were up in the press box yesterday is that nobody is really, at least that we talked to, was really leaning into the whole thing that happened with Cooper DeJean's called back return against Minnesota at home 2 years ago. I remember that so vividly. This is before we were teammates, but we were on the field together in the last 5 minutes. And I can't remember if it was you turned to me or I turned to you or what, but we were like, watch him return this. After they couldn't do anything all game, had to bail him out. And then he did. And then chaos, obviously, following the call. I'm sorry, you as a college kid, you can't tell me that doesn't still, like a Division I Power 4 football player, that doesn't still eat at you up here if you were part of that team. They might be playing it down, but to me, there is absolutely no way that this isn't something that's in the back of their heads going into Saturday.
No question. I do need to look back at the roster and see how many of these guys were playing significant time were on the team. I do think that plays a big role into it, but like Eliot, like I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit petty about things sometimes. Like if I was in their shoes, I would be chomping at the freaking bit to get back into Kinnick Stadium with against it. And of course, we all have our opinions, and it really just depends on what side of the forum you are. I do think, like, I always will stand by it was a bad call. It was a botched call because elite special teams minds, guys who have no affiliation with either school, have all said, what the hell? They would never call that. But aside the point, I did ask a couple of the players about it. I wasn't going to ask KF about it. I thought about it, but I'm like, it's not worth it to me. I thought Aaron Graves gave some really good insight, which isn't surprising. And by the way, shout out Scott Dochterman, because I think he wrote today, or maybe he wrote on Twitter or talked to me yesterday. He said, Aaron Graves is like the living Mr. Incredible, the way he looks. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Because it's so true.
That's good.
Right? He's built exactly like him. But Aaron flat out just said, look, man, like we're going to control what we can control. And he said, if we have to lean into that to get more motivation to play, they are not in the right headspace to play this football game anyway. So I do think like they're approaching it the right way. But if you're telling me that like it still doesn't piss off LeVar Woods, it doesn't piss off Kirk Ferentz, you don't know LeVar Woods and Kirk Ferentz well enough. They'll always say everything up front classy, but like I'll never forget Kirk Ferentz's rant after the game about that. And again, I thought he was 100% correct, but I do think this is going to be fairly chippy on Saturday, and I can't wait for it.
That was a wild year. The Deacon Hill year, still going 10-2, some wild wins. For that not to be a win at the end of this, at the end of it all. I just remember Kirk coming into the presser afterwards. Took forever, which understandably came in and he was talking about it a little bit. And he's like, should I say this? And screw it. And then he went on his
He's
rant.
had some great quotes against Minnesota. Because remember, it's like, oh, well, we thought we'd leave the timeouts and take the pig.
Right.
Like he's been
right.
Dude, don't give a rip. Kirk is the best version of Kirk, because like 10 years ago, I would have never envisioned he'd be like this. And it's so great, the fact that he's finally like, I don't want to say ripped off the Band-Aid, but he's so candid with us. He's a lot more candid with us. But,
yeah,
you're exactly right, though, too. But the other thing is, and this is where I will give Minnesota credit for this, like, dude, Iowa didn't have to go that far. Like, you get 15 yards to get a shot. Like, they had 2 yards in the second half. So, like, I get it, right? You have to get it. Iowa had every shot, but I do think you're right, though. As a competitor, I do think it's going to eat at some of those guys. Like, you think Aaron Graves isn't going to be thinking about it. You think Logan Jones. You think Xavier Wampa and, like, Cooper's, like, teammates in the secondary, TJ Hall. Like, these guys are going to be chomping at the bit to get out there against the Gophers. And I have a very fun take about the offense, and I'm very excited to get down to it because I'm curious if you agree or not.
Okay. One thing I'll add to that last conversation, then we can get to it, is we talked to Caden Weegan a little bit about it yesterday, and he just kind of like brushed it off. He's like, we don't need to talk about it. But can you imagine how nuts Kinnick would go if he returns a punt for a touchdown tomorrow or a kickoff?
You know what he has to do in the end zone, right?
What?
He's just got to do the whole, like, same thing as Cooper DeJean did, that they call an invalid signal. He needs to get in the end zone and just start doing everything.
Yeah. Yeah. He should.
Wasn't Tim O'Day on staff or something last game, or like he said something like,
I don't know if it was O'Day.
But he said someone from that staff was making a joke about, oh, you guys have had issues before.
Yeah, he said an official did. I don't know if it was Tim O'Day in that last crew.
I don't know that. So, but that was the only name I could think of. So I'm not trying to throw him under the bus. But like,
sure, how
wild is that for an official to say?
Yeah. I mean, I was covering a high school game last week, and I had heard an official talking to a punt returner saying, make sure everybody knows that you're calling for a fair catch. And that's just not what Cooper DeJean did. And it was just to erase a play like that. And we don't have to keep rehashing it.
I know. Yeah.
But to erase a play like that was so phenomenal. And just telling people what you just saw with your eyes didn't happen. It's like gaslighting to the nth degree. Like, I mean, and it's referees doing too much, involving themselves too much. And, one thing that I said right after that game is we'd be talking about, and we probably still should be talking about, Cooper as one of the greatest Hawkeyes of the Ferentz era. And we can't turn back to that moment now. Like, that would be a moment where you look at his career and say, how can you deny him being one of the greatest Hawkeyes of the Kirk Ferentz era? with that moment. And now we can't turn back to that
had
moment.
The best take on, dude. If he comes back his senior year, I think he's the greatest Iowa player to ever suit up. I really do. If he comes back one more year, he's the greatest Hawkeye ever. But I'll get to the offense, but I want to say a stat about Cooper real quick. I do need to double check it, so I apologize if this is false, but I'm 99% sure it's true. Between his sophomore, actually, I think throughout his entire college career and NFL career, if you combine it, Eliot, he has scored more touchdowns than given up. He hasn't given up a touchdown in the NFL yet. Had the pick six, had multiple
just
returns.
Broke up that pass on Jay Jettas. Yeah. And
that's insane to me.
You know, Dave, why I didn't go D1 as a football player is because all the talent in Otabote, Arthur Ida Grove, or Battle Creek Ida Grove went straight to the DeJean family. So I'm gonna pin that one.
That's probably true. I'm not gonna lie.
But
so
anyway,
big game on Saturday,
yes.
Right?
Yep.
Iowa should throw the football fewer than 7 times.
Okay.
7 to 10. Like, I get it. And this is going to open up a whole bag of worms. I know. Why fix what isn't broken? Like, I get the pass. Now, let me start off by saying the passing game needs to be better. Okay. Anybody with a pair of eyes will tell you that. Maybe even one eye. People with one eye are probably telling you that too. It has to be better. But, you saw my meme I put up the other day on Twitter. Why is it so sexy to have 250 passing yards? And it's so like, it's 250 rushing yards. Iowa had 245 rushing yards, Eliot. They held the ball for 8 minutes in the second half. 3 of their 4 drives were 2 minutes or less. And they scored on every single drive. And they would have, well, except the last one. But I think Mark could have gotten in the end zone if he unhitched the trailer on that final run, because he faked everyone out in that stadium. So you keep the defense honest, but like, dude, Minnesota is not a good defense. Like, their rush defense has not been very good this season. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they're giving up, like, I think they're not in top 25. Their game notes are very confusing to read, so I sincerely apologize. They're 19th in the country in rush defense. This says they give up 98 according to their game notes. I'm going to confirm that. But, like, I truly believe at this point, Eliot, and now there are some big tests coming up, I don't think there's a better offensive line in totality in college football than Iowa. I really don't. Logan Jones has been first-team All-American caliber. Jennings Dunker has been great. Trevor Lauk and Cade Pieper have been unbelievable compared to what I expected out of them. And really Iowa, for the first time, I think, since week 1, Eliot, they have all their running backs back, in addition to a confident Mark Gronowski. So Iowa's going 4 deep in the backfield, and like you talk about Iowa winning in the trenches, and they feel good about having the advantage. This should be a game they run for 250.
Triple option.
I honestly, would you not kill to see that with Kamari and Mark Gronowski? They're not going to, but I've thought about it.
Come out running the wing tee.
Oh, yes. Please. But anyway, I said the same thing. I was on a different podcast prior to the Penn State game, Eliot, and I said Iowa should throw the ball 15 or fewer times. They threw it 16 times, 2 times in the second half. But anyway, you got to rewatch the game. You saw how the offensive line is moving, how confident. And by the way, Tim Lester was in his bag, man. From a scheme standpoint in the run game, yes. Unbelievable some of the schemes they were drawing up. And Mark made the correct read on almost all of them. So I got to give him credit too.
Yeah. I mean, Kamari, to me, I think is almost like an underrated story out of last week's game because of the big plays from Mark. Yeah. Kamari is undoubtedly RB1 at this point. Like, that's what we thought going into the season, but it was like, maybe Jazz. I mean, Jazz has been hurt. And we were hearing really good things about Xavier Williams. A lot of those things have come true. But we were pretty confident it was going to be Kamari, and that's only been confirmed over these last few weeks. His vision in the backfield, his ability to make something out of nothing. There have been plays where, like, for example, Terrell Washington has been dead in the water in the backfield. Kamari makes something out of that. Nathan McNeil, all things has been really good. Didn't really do much last week. I think now that Jazz is back, his carries are going to be limited again. But he's been really good. And again, I mean, when Kamari's playing the way he was last week, you have to ride the hot hand. It's like what Liddell did with Caleb Johnson and LeSean Williams 2 years ago. You have to ride the hot hand, and Kamari is the hot hand right now. Whether and Xavier Williams has been good in his spots, but Kamari's really good. Like Kamari's NFL, like, no doubt. I mean, these next 2 years, he might be. I mean, this group is still young too, so
yeah,
who knows what it's going to look like? Like we've said it the last 2 years, somebody's going to hit the portal. Nobody really hit the portal other than LeSean, and he got hurt. So
that's credit to Swarm, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
Brad keeping those guys intact. And honestly, Iowa's needed them too, especially with the injuries that have accrued at the position.
Yeah. So I said second half for Tim Lester because the first drive, Amari had like 4 or 5 carries back to back of 8+ yards, and then they went to the air. And
you and me were basically just looking at each other like, what the hell are they doing? Because I mean, I took your binoculars at one point, and I'm looking to see if Moulton's in the 10, if he has his helmet off, or what the deal was, and he was just waiting to go.
Right. Now, you were right. I looked it up. Minnesota is 19th in the country in rush defense. They're allowing 97.7 yards per game, 3.24 yards per rush. Now, Iowa is 13th, allowing 92.4 yards per carry, 2.83 yards per rush. So running game, both of these teams like to rely on their running game. Minnesota's not as good as Iowa on the run game. They got Darius Taylor. One thing I said on KXNO this week is Darius Taylor's really good against everybody else, and then he hasn't done anything against Iowa.
No. Yep.
In his 2-3 years with the Gophers. So
yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna look at one run game versus the other, I gotta lean Iowa. If you're looking at one passing game versus the other, Drake Lindsey's been pretty good, all things considered. I mean, especially for a Minnesota quarterback, he's been good.
He's built differently too. He's like 6'5", 235. Like, he is a big dude at quarterback too, Eliot. By the way, I know why my logic got skewed about their rush defense. It has been pretty decent. I was going back to the Minnesota game. I mean, when they played Purdue, dude, they gave up. I think it was like 200. Let me double check. Yeah, I mean, they gave up 253 yards on the ground to Purdue. So I'm kind of thinking opportunity
how long ago
for
was that?
Iowa there. The week before Nebraska.
Interesting.
So, I mean, it doesn't stretch back long ago. Like, what Minnesota team's going to show up is the one who barely scraped by Purdue and got killed by Ohio State. Now, to be fair, Ohio State's going to kill everybody. Their defense is unbelievable. It's not shade toward them. Or is it going to be the ones who have competent offense, don't turn the football over? But like Drake Lindsey, 10 touchdowns, 3 picks on the year, 62% completion. Like, for a redshirt freshman to step in those shoes, it's been pretty impressive. But again, this is the contrarian in me, right? Who did he get those touchdowns against? They played Cupcake Tech and, Buoyancy Vista College in non-conference play. Like, they didn't play anybody. So, like, are you stacking the numbers against legit competition? How does he translate over? But, again, he played well against Nebraska. He's making the right reads at the line of scrimmage. But I will say, Eliot, I don't trust this Minnesota offensive line as much as I've trusted in their past years, because I do think they're missing like a name or two on the line of scrimmage, just as far as like the name. Because I think about the 6'9", 350-pound tackle they had, what seemed like for 8 years. They always have a dude or two in the trenches. It just doesn't seem like they have that on the offensive line. And you're exactly right about Darius Taylor. Tremendous player. He's had a really nice career there. Hasn't done anything against Iowa, I believe, throughout his career. I need to go back and double check his numbers. But this just seems to me, Eliot, to be a game of, if Iowa's offense plays the way they did against Penn State, especially in that second half, if Iowa runs the football effectively like I think you're right. I'm going to lean Iowa, but at the same time, I do think the fact that the spread has gone up to about 8.5, 9.5, it's pretty strange to me. That's a little steep. I was thinking like 5.5, 6 is what it was going to open at.
I was thinking the same. You mentioned the thing about if the offense plays like it did. One thing in the rewatch that I don't know if I necessarily felt this way after the game when, at home when we were there, but it was really hammered home after the rewatch. So many missed opportunities for Iowa in this game. So many missed field goal. There was when they were down in the red zone for the first drive before they took the drive prior to them taking the lead. They kicked that field goal. It's a like 3rd and 11, and then they run a tight end screen to Hayden Large, which I thought was weird. Drive before, or like in the first half, Hayden Large gets called for a false start, so they go to 1st and 15, and then they run for 2 yards. Run for 2 yards, a bubble screen to Seth Anderson for 2 yards, and then they complete the pass to Reese Vanderzee to 4th and 3, and then Drew Stevens misses the field goal. It was just the 66 yard, like you just didn't have to do that, and they were shooting themselves in the foot in that regard. 4th and 1, they punt from their own 45 when they're averaging 5 yards per carry. I think this is something that we mentioned on
you and
Sunday.
Me were just like, you've got to be kidding me.
Conservative Kirk until the 66-yard field goal. Like, what are we doing, dude? But that there's just things they left on the table that that happens in football games. It just does. Like across the board, you can go to any football game ever when Ohio State beats Ohio or somebody else 70-0. You can go back and see missed opportunities. But the severity of the missed opportunities in a 1-point game, and when you when you're playing at home against a rival, it's different. And Iowa has had missed opportunities. I mean, like Cohen Entringer on the 4th and 1 when he's offsides. Missed tackles still. Like there is just stuff that needs to be cleaned up, and stuff that we've been saying needs to be cleaned up for a while. Does that mean it's gonna get cleaned up before Minnesota? Probably not. But play calling, I still am confused as to one thing I'm going to ask Tim Lester about next week is how he opts to script, like the scripted plays on the first drive.
Yeah,
because they take the ball on every game. Every game they've taken the ball. And I asked Kirk about that, and of course we got a Kirk smirk out of it where he was like, "Dumbass." I
kind of liked it when he just goes like, "No, I liked it because he was just like something happened last year that really pissed me off." So like I'm just like, "Give me the ball."
Right. I'm going to write about that. Probably have that later tonight. So folks that want to check that out on Hawkeye Insider, you can. But anyway, I'm going to write about their decision to take every single kickoff. And that's one thing where if you score on the first drive, if you're Iowa, I would be shocked if they lose any game where they score on the first drive. But we haven't seen it, because the offense has started so poorly every game. I need to go back and chart this, but I'm pretty sure other than like UMass, it's been either 3 and out or interception on every single first drive.
I think they have 17 points across 7 games on their first possession.
Really?
I think. I need to double check that. Somebody tweeted it out. I think it was document. Okay. I need to double check that. But that's still not a good percentage, Eliot.
No.
Eliot, that's still not a good percentage.
It's awful.
So in a weird transition, I want to ask you this because I've been thumping my brain about this. I cannot get a read on Drew Stevens. And that's one of the biggest, wildest parts of this team. And honestly, it's not just, it's the special teams as a whole. So, I don't want to throw Drew. It's not like I'm throwing Drew under the bus here, but, for anybody that's watched him, he has NFL upside. This is a guy who, I know how crazy it was. He kicked the 66-yard field goal, but, Eliot, he can make a 66-yard field goal. Like, we've seen it in warmups. And for everybody that thought, oh, well, it was 5-10 yards short on the, he hesitated during his approach because he was worried about a delay of game penalty. Like, it wasn't his normal motion. Then he's opted to try to boot it, right? But then again, when he did that, he put the ball lower on his second attempt, and that's a big reason it got blocked. So, but how outstanding he is from 50 plus, and like the demon that is on his shoulder during 40 to 49-yard kicks, it's stunning to me. And I'm very curious, and I doubt it will. I know the answer to this, but I'm still going to ask it. Do you opt to go for it more on 4th and short since he struggles from 40 to 49 yards?
I can answer that question right now.
I think they should if they're running the ball 5 yards a carry and it's 4th and 2.
Yep.
Run another fake. Like, and it sounds unfortunate because, like, again, you want to have trust in your kicker, but like you talk about points being left on the board. When does this become a serious discussion in matters of analytics and what's best? But I would think even the 66-yarder, let's get pushed Kirk the other way because he's going to see it as emotionally chasing points. And that's why it won't happen. So again, I knew the answer when I asked it, but I'm curious if I'm that far off. If it's 4th and 2, and let's say they're on what, the 35, the opposing 35, like 33 yards, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it, especially with that offensive front you have.
Yeah. I mean, and even if you run a passing play, you can trust Mark to take off. You can find your dump down to your check down to your running back. Like, yeah, go for it. This is from Sean mid-game last week. Drew Stevens misses this season from 46, 42, 40, and 38. I don't know.
Was that 38 during the Indiana game?
I think that was 42. I think. Okay. I'm not positive.
Double check that.
There are a couple different things, a couple different ways you can go. You mentioned special teams as a whole. Snap, Holder, and Drew have all been responsible for separate missed field goals. Some Drew is just straight up missed. The Indiana kick, Ty Nissen, the ball was facing that direction. And the snap, I think it was, I can't remember if that was UMass. There was a missed field goal early on in the season where the snapper was to blame. This is not what I said, about Kamari, about that being what we expected or what we had thought would happen with Kamari taking over the RB1 spot going into the season. This is not what we thought Drew Stevens would be. Yes, you miss a field goal from time to time, but somebody get the monkey off his back. Like, he's got to make something between 40 and 49. And I know he has throughout the season, but I don't know. I mean, have we talked, or has LeVar mentioned like a sports psychologist or anything with Drew? Like, I don't necessarily want to get super in depth into that side of things, but it does give yips to a degree.
I don't know about that. I know LeVar said he's perfected his approach and kind of his the mental side of like what it takes to be a specialist. And I mean, Keith Duncan talked about that religiously. Tyler Kluver's talked about it. Like, he's matured a lot. So like those aspects he has, but as far as a sports psychologist goes, I don't think he's mentioned anything. Nothing immediately comes to mind. But I mean, no, it's a fair question because that's especially for kickers and stuff. Like, how many times do we see kids across the country miss a field goal to win the game for their team and the team loses? What's one of the first things we say? Man, I hope he's all right. I hope he has somebody to talk to, because what people are probably tweeting him, DMing him, saying to him, etc. Right? So I don't know, but I'm fairly confident saying Drew's got a good support system. But you're right. I mean, I don't want to say it'll cost Iowa a game, but man, you're going to sweat a whole lot more. Everybody involved, including Drew, if you gets down to a situation where, what if it's Nebraska? What's the Nebraska-Iowa special, right? It's a walk-off field goal by Iowa. What if it's from 45? What if it's from 43? 2 seconds left, tie game, down 1, down 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those situations to where, he's made the most field goals in school history, You read our message board. You read Twitter. I want to say that there's a growing lack of belief in Drew's ability to make some of those field goals, but I'd also point out that Drew has made a lot of clutch kicks throughout his Iowa career, so that could easily just trigger something in him. So, again.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. One thing that we do know is that dude, like, when we were at Wisconsin, you had a reaction to one of his field goals. I was like, did he miss again? And it was from like 30. And you were like, no, that just would have been good from 70 yards out, because he's got a cannon. Cannon for a leg, just launches it. And as long as
you can hear it from the press box. Like, that's how loud it is when his foot makes contact with the ball.
Right. So he's got all the ability in the world. It's just about figuring out consistency right now. Like, the power of the leg is NFL. It's just about consistency. So hopefully something gets figured out there. But anything else that we're missing for the game against Minnesota this weekend that we need to talk about?
I mean, we probably should talk about defensive keys. We spent a lot of time on the offense, talked about special teams quite a bit, talked about the big picture, but this will be a interesting matchup. But at the same time, like, I'm stunned by this defense. Like, I thought they'd be good. I'm not saying they're elite by any means, Eliot, but like, this is a really good defensive football team. And it's one of the more surprising developments. And yeah, I know people are going to say, well, Phil Parker, don't bet against him. It's not that I bet against Phil Parker. It's the this defense is compared to, and who they've had to overtake and who they've had to take over for, has been so elite. And this sounds crazy. There is a case where you would take this defense over last year's defense. I'm not talking from a star standpoint. I'm talking from a production standpoint. Now, you're not taking this over 23. Don't get me twisted. You're not taking over that at all. But there's a case that the defense has been better this year. Defensive line's been pretty stellar. I think Aaron Graves is playing phenomenal football at this point. Mm-hmm. TJ Hall, who I'm going to have a story on, he's been one of the more surprising developments to me of this football team, because it was secondary and linebacker play. Jay Montgomery now being the starting Mike linebacker. Again, another story I did not anticipate seeing throughout the course of the year. Xavier Wampa, gotta stop getting stitches. He's playing his best football. And I don't know about you. I love Cohen Entringer. Like, he's quickly rising up as one of my favorite players I've covered from a media standpoint, from how good of a dude he is, etc. He's been stellar. So I think when it comes to defense, there's going to be several different matchups you got to look for. I think Drake Lindsey has potential to really hurt Iowa with his arm. Really not so much of a mobile guy, but he'll have a handful of things that you'll have to overtake. Sorry, guys, I fixed a little technical difficulty. We got Eliot back. Way to bounce back. Smart, tough fiscal, break the rock. But no, man, I mean, I think this is an interesting matchup defensively. I love Iowa's defense. I think there's a lot of really good stories on this team. But I want to give special shout out to TJ Hall and Xavier Wampa. And Deshaun Lee, by the way, what a bounce back. I mean, he's had so many plays go against him this season. For him to kind of make a couple game securing plays, I mean, you got to feel good for him, because you know this. I know this. Deshaun Lee knows this. He's been targeted a lot this season because of what TJ Hall's done on the other side.
He has, and stepped up in a big way against Penn State, made that game-winning pass breakup, which somebody on Twitter that covers Nebraska said that he got away with a DPI.
That's not DPI.
Come on. No, that's just wrong. You're just biased. Like, just a little silly. Anyway, yeah, I mean, he was really good in that game. TJ Hall, elite. Like, the secondary has been better. I mean, like, before the season, I was clamoring for Shaheed Barros, and now I'm not. I mean, I will not. I mean, he's hurt right now. I'm not doing that anymore. Deshaun Lee has stepped up in a big way, but TJ Hall, just his stock, his draft stock is just
He's getting drafted now. I wasn't sure he was going to get drafted. He's getting drafted now. And by the way, he was the one who tipped the ball up for Xavier Wampa's pick, too. So he didn't get a pick, but he's the one who tipped it up. So you got to give him credit there, too.
He was in there. I still think it went off the hands of the tight end. That's the way it looked in my rewatch. I don't know if I blew past it or didn't see it, but either way, he was in on the play. So I don't think he allowed one catch against Penn State, and it was like 3 yards or something like that. So yeah, he's reached a new echelon, and I feel like I say that every week, but he just has. He's been awesome. He's got the physical tools for the NFL. Just continues to rise in terms of NFL draft stock. And I would say the same thing about Wampa. Like, he was awesome last week. And I mean, they're all going to be big factors. I don't know that disappointment is the right word, but I think I would say I would have expected a little bit more from Bryce Hawthorne just based on what we heard this offseason. But, then again, there is a lot of rotation on that defensive line. He is still just a redshirt sophomore, so a long ways to go for him. But
he's got time. That's kind of where I stand on it. Like, I think he can make a big jump next year. I mean, I know you got the chance to catch up with Kelvin Bell preseason during media day, and he was raving about Bryce Hawthorne and the potential that he has. So, again, he's got years left in him. But I agree with you. But at the same time, Graves has been better than I thought he was going to be, too. And I've been high on Graves his whole career. Graves has been a monster, dude.
Yeah. Killing it in the classroom, too.
Dude, he's so smart.
Did you see that? Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the William Campbell. Well, for people that don't know, he got his degree from Iowa Central before his high school diploma. That's out, like, it's 2 years, first 2 years of college done. So, I mean, I probably should ask him what he's been doing the past couple of years, because I don't know what he's studying. But you know as well as I do, like, Aaron Graves is like a class A+ human being. Like, he's just a good human, very sound in what he does. And I think something that's said about Barnett today, and I think it translates over to Aaron Graves, is he talked about the seniors, about how they're so, like, methodical about their approach to life and how they limit distractions. And that's part of the reason why they continue to improve. Aaron Graves is the exact same guy. Like, he hates social media. He doesn't do any of it. This is a guy who got married over the summer. I believe his wife is pregnant now. Like, he's going to be a dad by the time he's probably going to be in the combine. Like, this dude is, like, locked in with his life. So again, I think, especially with all the pressures of college football, I do think that stability outside of life has helped transition him into having the best football of his career as well. Yeah. Salt of the earth kind of dude. So, I mean, is there anything you're really worried about when it comes to this Minnesota offense? Again, I think Drake Lindsey is a very good quarterback. I don't think they really have – I need to review all my notes, but, like, I don't think they have any game-breaking receivers that could really hurt Iowa. At the same time, I do know that, like, they have Lameek Brockington. They have a couple big physical tight ends, but, like, PJ Fleck's going to go in there and he's going to try to establish the run and see what he can do with Darius Taylor, because the last thing I think he wants to do is put it on the shoulders of his redshirt freshman in this environment that's going to be loud. It's going to be – hopefully the weather is going to be good. It's going to be loud. It's going to be juiced up, and Iowa's going to look to pin their ears back, and they're going to try to frickin' rattle him early. It's going to be the same approach as the last couple of weeks.
The only thing that sticks out to me is the lack of turnovers by the Minnesota offense. They don't really turn the ball over. Lindsey's 10 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. You mentioned, by the way, the Buoyancy State or whatever you said. They played Buffalo and Northwestern State, who was from Louisiana, in the first 2 weeks of the season. Then they played Cal. But I think they lost to Cal, too, 27-14 or something like that. But I'd have to go back to the schedule.
I don't think they did. Hang on, I'm looking now. I should know this off the top of my head. Oh, they did. Yeah, they did lose 27-14 to Cal. Good call on that. I apologize.
Yeah, you're all right. I just saw it when I was looking at their schedule before. But that would be the only thing that sticks out to me right now, and what Lindsey has done, overall in his first season as the starter. It's impressive. Can't take that away from him. So got to force turnovers. Got to get to the quarterback. got to protect your quarterback. Mark Gronowski will not be taking 9 sacks this week. I will tell you that. That is the Dylan Raiola special. That will not happen to Mark Gronowski. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Otherwise, I'm good to wrap up.
I'm not going to comment on the Dylan Raiola Nebraska thing. I don't want to get flamed for bashing my alma mater. But I'll tell you what, though. And this is the only thing I'll say about Nebraska. They got to find a way to protect that dude. Otherwise, he's not playing against Iowa. Like, he is taking some freaking hits, Eliot. Like, I mean, I'm saying for, like, his safety, I really hope, like, he stops taking sacks. Like, just from a well-being human standpoint, because it's been that I'll tell you what, though. You know who can't wait for that? Phil Parker, Max Llewellyn, and those guys. If Nebraska's offensive line's that and pass, that'll be a fun game over in Lincoln. So, Eliot, I guess do you want to share your prediction now? I won't give my score away, but I'll tell you, I think Iowa wins. I think Iowa's offensive front's too strong. I think Moulton's in his bag. I think Mark is going to have another good game. I don't think he'll turn it over. Like, I don't want to say a comfortable Iowa win, but like if Iowa ends up winning 24 to like 13 or 17, it's not going to surprise me at all.
I was going to say something similar to that. Mine might change by the time we get into our preview that Sean has already fixed up for us. It's just waiting for us to throw in our predictions. But I was going to say off the rip, 24-14 Iowa. And by the way, Dave and I are perfect in our in-season predictions so far this season. So as far as like
don't tell the haters that. Don't tell the haters that.
Not the scores.
They were
jinxing ourselves
last
here. But Dave and I are perfect so far. So Sean is not. So suck it, Sean. That's what you get for not showing up for the podcast. He's sick. So
he's sick. Yeah, he's sick. Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of stuff over at HawkeyeInsider.com. Eliot's put up some great stuff. I have as well. Sean Bach. So again, as always, stay locked into HawkeyeInsider.com, and we'll talk to you in a few days. Also, we are going to do a basketball preview podcast next week. I know it's been media day last week. There's been a lot of different things going on, but we've been busy. We're going to be able to make it happen, though. And, of course, I think we're, 13 days out or something like that? It's right around the corner. So we're going to have all that ready for you. And so, again, as always, stay locked in to HawkeyeInsider.com.